to Ms. Hightower to get us oriented.
Yes, today we have the Prince George's County Farm Bureau here. And to start us off, we have Mr. Dan Donohue, who is the president of the Prince George's County Farm Bureau and an Accokeek farmer and owner of Donohue Downs LLC. I will turn it over to Mr. Donohue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hightower. Chairman Donohue, thank you. Thank you, members of the council that are here with us for this. Appreciate it. You're going to have a team approach to this. I want to start off about what the Farm Bureau does with Jennifer Cross. She'll be followed by Liz Robinson, our vice president. Ms. Cross is our secretary treasurer for a long time, and then we have Jenna Marie Jones, and I'll kind of wrap it up. Is that satisfactory? Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having us here with you today. I'm a lifelong resident of Prince George's County. I grew up beside Parker Farm, and my first job during the summer was working on the farm and in the market for the Parkers. Later, schooling through Prince George's County, college from Prince George's County, and I met my husband, who was a farmer in Prince George's County. At the time, he was a tobacco farmer. Prior to the tobacco buyout, his father said, "No more, this is such a labor-intensive crop. We're going to go to some type of grain or row crop." But my family owns and operates a farm, home, and garden store, and this year we're celebrating 98 years in business. So that's a little bit personally about me. I do sit on the board as the secretary and treasurer, and I've been elected to the American Farm Bureau Federation, serving as their Northeast representative for the Women's Leadership Committee. I do want to say that Farm Bureau is a trusted source in agriculture. Being a member of Prince George's County Farm Bureau, you're also a member of Maryland Farm Bureau and the American Farm Bureau Federation. We are the leading grassroots membership organization advocating for farmers, ranchers, and rural communities. Prince George's County has approximately 300 members. Maryland Farm Bureau has about 7,200, and the American Farm Bureau Federation has about 6 million farmers and rancher families. Together, we keep our nation's food, fiber, and renewable fuel supply safe, sustainable, and secure. Our farmers represent all types of farming operations, ranches, and our mission is to strengthen and grow Prince George's County agriculture. Membership directly contributes to our advocacy efforts, connects with our fellow farmers and consumers, and fosters the growth and education for our county's diverse agriculture sector. Plus, members get to enjoy benefits and discounts nationwide. Our Women's Leadership Chairperson could not be with us today, so I just want to add that that is one of the committees that we support in our Prince George's County, and that committee engages women by offering opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills. One of the organizations that's been the heart of Farm Bureau for as long as I can remember, and I've been a member 30 years, is the Ronald McDonald House Charities in Baltimore. It's also a charity that all of the Farm Bureaus support, as well as our Farm Bureau supports the Capital Food Bank. We also have the Young Farmers, but I'm going to let Jenna talk about that. We strongly support the Future Farmers of America with FFA, and we have 3 schools in Prince George's County that have the CASE program, and the CASE is Curriculum for Ag, Science, and Education. Those 3 schools are Gwynn Park High School, or Senior High School, Fairmont Heights, and High Point High School. Another program that we support, and I'm a class 7 fellow, and they're in their 13th class now, is Lead Maryland. It's a 2-year program based out of the University of Maryland in partnership with the University of Maryland Extension. We have supported members in almost all the classes and I guess they've been serving for about 26 years now. I know there was a little bit overage during the COVID time. So that's what I wanted. I do want to point out, I see that I think you all have this. Um, on the back, there is a link, and it does show that will take you to our policy book. Being that we're a grassroots organization, we do get to vote on policies that are important, um, and that policy book gets taken to the national level. We do have paid lobbyists at the state level and the national level, so that policy book comes in handy. And certainly, if ever I can help, please feel free to reach out. You can reach me at the office number there at the bottom of the first page. So thank you very much.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Before, I'm a first generation farmer. My background before this was in accounting and finance, so I certainly never really thought I would be growing food as a profession. But something, really called me to this because living in Prince George's County, especially during COVID, we saw supermarkets were empty. There wasn't enough fresh produce. Some of the produce that was there wasn't in the best condition. We noticed that there was a lot of transportation issues. And it really became clear, particularly during COVID, that we needed to shore up our food supply here locally. Not only because it gives us food security, but because it's healthier, it's more nutritious, it provides economic development, and it shows kids where their food comes from. There's just a host of benefits to having food grown locally. And as I said, a first generation farmer, I really did. Before I was a farmer, I didn't really know that many farmers. I didn't grow up with a lot of farms around me. I grew up in a suburban and urban area. So when I first started farming, I met some urban farmers through Soil Conservation District, but I never really had the opportunity to meet legacy farmers until I joined Farm Bureau. And Farm Bureau allowed me to learn more about policy work and advocacy. I've been to Dayton-Annapolis. I've joined state level committees. I've met hundreds of farmers at our annual, meetings on the Eastern Shore. I've gotten involved in different ways and learned more about food and, the challenges and opportunities, and not only food, but growing grains and why there's so much corn and soy grown instead of vegetables and fruits and things like that. So Farm Bureau, being part of a Farm Bureau, not only gives me, access to legacy farmers that have a history of, let's say, what keeps pests away, that things like that have been passed down from generation to generation across farmers. I didn't have access to that until I joined Farm Bureau. So it's really it's a way to advocate, but it's also a way to build community in a sense that some of these people are like, you'd never meet them outside of Farm Bureau. So it really gave me access to a lot of diverse farmers and business owners, community members, people of all walks of life that I might not have met otherwise. And, one thing that we've been working on is bringing in more of the urban agriculture farmers to Farm Bureau and letting them see, what it all offers. And also for the legacy farmers to learn from the urban farmers about what the next generation of food production looks like. So it's been a really important part, and it's given me an opportunity to, be a leader in my community, to meet with folks like you, and to do, different events. We're working on bringing the county fair back and making it more agricultural focused. We'd love your support in the future. That is an economic driver for the county, but it also gives people access to family-friendly things to do and a lot of education there. And we're also working on making sure that, there's affordable land access for farmers to keep growing food in the future. So I think that's all I have.
What do you grow?
So I grow gourmet mushrooms. You've been to our warehouse. So I think we're one of the only farmers that grow in a warehouse. And we now have a farm in Clinton where we're building out the Mushroom Learning Center where we're growing mushrooms in shipping containers. And we've also got 12 acres of a mix of forestry and cropland. So we'll be adding in some herbs and vegetables and produce. And we're doing education programs and, building out agritourism where kids can actually come and tour our facilities, and adults too, but they'll be able to learn about STEM programs through the lens of agriculture. So there's a lot to learn. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm next. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I proudly serve as your Prince George's County 4-H educator through the Cooperative Extension of University of Maryland, and I also proudly serve as your Prince George's County Farm Bureau Young Farmers Chair. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about what cooperative extension is and our relationship with the Farm Bureau, and a little bit about our next big event that we have coming up. So if you're kind of asking yourself, maybe some of you are familiar and not so familiar with cooperative extension, but it's a partnership with the University of Maryland and the USDA. Essentially, we were doing all of this research and education on the university level, but we wanted to figure out a way where we got that information out to the community, to the public. So the University of Maryland Extension is the part of the university that extends out into the community. So we offer lots of different resources, such as financial literacy programs. I know you all are probably familiar with SNAP, but they also do SNAP education in a lot of our schools. We also have ag and other extension agents, and we also have the Master Gardeners program. And we also do have the Positive Youth Development Program 4-H, so which that is what my domain. And so in 4-H, we do different things where we focus on leadership, civic engagement, and life skills for the youth in Prince George's County. We mostly partner with libraries, different community partners such as the Farm Bureau, and we also partner with schools. One of the big initiatives that we has really become successful is our STEM Night initiative. A lot of schools seem to really like that. In my other role as the Young Farmers Chair, I work to kind of empower young farmers and young ag professionals. And so one of the biggest issues that we have is just basically visibility. Like no one knows we're here, and no one knows to come to our programs, which are mostly free or very, very, very reduced cost. And so I wanted to take this time to talk about our Farm and Family Day, which initially started off as our Farm Bureau's opportunity to kind of showcase agriculture in our community. And now it's kind of evolving to kind of fill the void of our Prince George's County Fair, which, as you probably know, is the oldest fair in the state of Maryland. And so I have some flyers. We are expanding it this year, so Farm and Family Day will be on September 7th. It's a Sunday. It's an opportunity to showcase agriculture in the community, also promote ag education and ag literacy, and it's a way for our community to have free access to our farming community. We have petting zoos, we have different ag lessons, so it's very engaging. And this year we've decided to expand a little bit more into the day, into the week. So we will be having an extension open house where people will be able to drop their exhibits off and showcase them. If you've ever attended a fair, that is one of the main points of the fair, showcasing any vegetables or any artwork or anything that you've done. So they'll have the opportunity to kind of come and experience extension and see which free resources that we can provide for them. That would be that Thursday. Friday, we are having a social for any gardeners, urban farmers, or anybody who's just interested in learning more about where their food comes from. And then Saturday, we are promoting for people to attend a local farmers market. So we'll just share those resources for that Saturday, and Sunday will be the day. But yes, at the end, we really just would really appreciate your support in any way possible. Thank you for your time.
Could you send this flyer to, I guess, to Ms. Hightower in electronic form? Because
Yes.
we can put this in our newsletters that go out.
Absolutely, yes.
And we can get it in the council newsletter. Mr. Donohue?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'll get that out to you electronically. Ms. Hightower, thank you. We have one alibi here saved round from Liz.
Since we're passing these out, I also wanted to, I brought some leftover flyers from the National Urban Farm Festival that we held on May 4th. This was our second year, so we'd love to work with you guys on, expanding that in the coming years. And we'll also do a National Urban Farm Festival at the Farm and Family Day So that'll grow each year. And then there's a
Real quick on that, where was it and how many people
it
attended?
was on Swanson Road in Upper Marlboro, and that's actually on a new site that we're leasing from Park and Planning. It's a 39-acre property that we're going to turn into a cooperative farm. The farmers that graduate from the Urban Farm Incubator and other programs, a lot of times they don't have any land access once they graduate. So we're going to sublease to them and build out some shared infrastructure. So it was at that location where that future cooperative farm is going to be. And I actually have some information for you guys here. There's a little site plan, and you can see more about it on the website. So I'll hand these out too.
You mean so Park and Planning's actually coughing up some land?
They actually did. Yeah, we're leasing it from them. It's a 5-year lease, and they're fully supported because they've been working on this as well for a really long time. They've had the foresight to know that, you know, we need more land access.
Well, I want Director Hall to hear this. I have been harassing Park and Planning
Well, we appreciate that.
for over 20 years to free up land to our young farmers and our new farmers.
Yeah.
And that's why we have some of the other things that they've been doing. They always take me out and show me, look what we're doing.
Absolutely, and I want to highlight her efforts because they've been extremely receptive and not just receptive, enthusiastic to see what that next generation looks like, what placemaking with urban agriculture, what land access, like what role farming and food plays in, you know, smart development. So they've been really forward thinking. Oh, Miss Lakeisha Hall. Yes. And then also, I want to also highlight the fact that our farmers are in every single district. There's not one district that doesn't have a farmer, whether it's urban or rural or whatever. And programs like Eco City and the Urban Farm Incubator, they may farm right there, but they live in every district and they serve every district. When we grow food, we grow for everyone.
Is everybody familiar with the Watkins Farm Incubator?
I am. Are you familiar with the Watkins Farm?
Yeah, I've heard of it, yes.
Yes, sir.
It's very nice.
Okay, no, I just wanted, that's kind of a lead in.
And that's what Park and Planning took me to show me that they were listening to me. Like,
Okay.
Look, this is what we're doing.
You've been beating that drum for a long time, and we appreciate it.
Yes, Chairman, I'll kind of wrap this up. I failed to mention initially, Liz Robinson is one of the Prince George's County representatives or members of the board for the Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission. Meets her. And Jennifer Cross is a member of the Agricultural Resources Advisory Committee. And I'm on both those organizations, so I know when they make meetings too. Just have a couple minor items here. A related topic to agriculture is the amount of woodlands in the county and enhancing the management to benefit trees and wood forest management, soil and water conservation. I own a tree farm. I was a runner-up for the state of Maryland's Tree Farm of the Year this year. And we need, one thing for economic development is to generate income from logging. Prince George's County has more stringent requirement for loggers and charges a $5,000 bond and is slow to refund the money after they finish the job and pass the job inspections. That results in many loggers not wanting to work in the county. I was in logging about 40 years ago, mainly in Prince George, southern Prince George's. And because of the things, there weren't as many requirements then you had to adhere to, but you go a lot of spots and you made some money at it. That's my point on that. In economic development, this spring, the director of the Agricultural Service from Montgomery County and the director of Agricultural Business Development, Howard County Economic Development Authority, started conversations about a livestock processing facility in the central part of the state. They are thinking of Montgomery, Howard, Prince George's, Frederick, and Anne Arundel counties. Maryland Agricultural Resources-Based Industry Development Corporation, MARBIDCO, has expressed an interest with possible financing and grants. There is a need for a facility that has a USDA inspection program. There are a few USDA processing facilities in the state, pardon me, The nearest two are in Carroll County and Baltimore City, and they're booked up, and a lot of times they don't take new customers. I know myself, I go to Aberdeen. It's 118 miles one way from Accokeek. So I usually take 6 or 8 cows every time I go up the road. A lot of folks go to Sutlersville over on the shore. They go to Fauquier Meats in Marshall, Virginia. So, and that's it. I mean, everything's backed up. You place your order to slaughter your livestock 6 to 8 months out, minimum. I've got dates for 26 already. And I also suggest if they get something like this in the county or one of these counties, we could have a job training program, say through the Prince George's Community College for butchers and related skills in the meat processing industry. Most people to get hogs processed go up to Lancaster, to Smuckers. Bowman's in Aberdeen does sheep too, but pardon me, it's a haul. It's also, I understand, and there's supposed to be a meeting later this month about this. The Urban Ag Planner Soil Conservation District gave them my name to be the Prince George's person, because since the Prince George doesn't have an agricultural planner or an economic development as we understand it. So that's why I'm kind of tooting this horn. And there's also my understanding there's a request for proposal to conduct a feasibility study to consider establishing a facility in Prince George's County that would process agricultural products. Intent would be to provide food in underserved areas in the county institutions, and be another way for producers to sell their products. Farm Bureau would be very supportive of this. Of course, we just stopped a regional agricultural center that SMATIC, Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission, was planning to work in conjunction with St. Mary's County. They just stopped that earlier this year because of a lot of issues with the facility, just in the cost. The biggest thing was the cost had gone up and what they wanted to do. May 29th, Maryland Department of Agriculture is sponsoring a value-added agritourism roundtable at the Prince George's County Soil Conservation District office, 10 to 12. Just a roundtable on that. And the Farm Bureau's had some tours in the past, and we can probably, we don't have anything on the calendar right now, but we're glad to do it.
The best way to do a farm tour is at the beginning and the end of winery.
Well, yeah. You're
We get council members to come down.
You've probably been in some of the ones the Soil Conservation District has planned. They're bigger because that's up in that part of the county is up in the wine, the Napa East.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you all for your time and letting us tell you what the Farm Bureau does. If you need anything, just call us up. You can come down and see me. I'm down in L.A., Lower Accokeek, south of the post office. You can see Virginia from the back pasture. And thank you all very much for your time. If you have any questions, please ask me or anybody.
1 second, Mr. Hawkins. Just on the slaughter facility, that's been a discussion point for over 20 years. I know you know that. But I thought the Economic Development Corporation was talking about this a couple months ago, that they were working like a feasibility study. Is that what's going on?
Yes, sir. There's been some communication.
Okay. Keep us informed on that. I know it's really been a regional issue that folks literally talked about for over 20 years. And sending everybody, 100 miles away is not a good thing.
I mean, yes, sir. You get your dates to process them, then you got to air dry them. When I get mine processed, everything I have on a place right now is already sold. And I'm going down tomorrow to look at some new calves to pick up from down in St. Mary's, known as the Mother County. It's going, but just getting them the weight on them. Last year was hard with the drought. The animals fell off some, and hay production was down. But getting it processed, getting the dates, but I have everything. I can sell everything I have, and when I get it back, we pick it up with a freezer trailer that the SMATIC helped the Farm Bureaus get, which is great. You can put 3,000 pounds of processed beef. It looks just like if you were going in Giant or Safeway.
Dan, is there Innovation and Food Security, which was funded and just awarded. That I know that the Ag Innovation and Food Security feasibility study was funded and recently awarded, but I don't know, is there an official feasibility study that was funded or planning?
We're not, I don't believe it's at that stage yet. This is still the discussion and seeing if there's interest. That's how I got kind of invited to talk for Prince George's County about it. And that's all I have. Do y'all have any other questions for
Mr.
you?
Hawkins
Thank
has
you.
a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Cross, are you a part of our D. Cross family?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I visited you several times many years ago with Dorothy Troutman. I don't know as much as Tom knows, but Dorothy Troutman would take me around equestrian industry. And what's the difference between soil conservation and the Farm Bureau? Is it any?
Well, the Soil Conservation District is a government entity.
Okay.
And it's just like with the county extension offices. They started the fairs for rural economic development. That was back in the 30s. No, I wasn't alive then. A lot of people accuse me of maybe being them. But that started for rural economic development. It was just like when they passed REA, Rural Electrification Administration, which we have in the lower part of the county, SMECO. That was for rural economic development and women's health, because if you didn't have to draw water, you could keep clean. You could clean your dishes better. You could keep yourself, your personal hygiene. That was a thing. That was one of those programs from the New Deal.
Okay, Ms. Jones, the big sign I see over there by the Claggett Farm, is that where you all doing the new cooperative? It's a big sign. You all know what I'm talking about?
Claggett is Chesapeake Bay Foundation runs
that's
a
what it
farm there. Ours is on Swanson Road in Upper Marlboro. Do you know where that airfield is? The model airplane?
Yes.
It's on that property.
That's where I saw
Yeah,
it.
the airfield's like right at the end, but that property itself has 39 acres of cropland. So that's where the new location is. It's over by Bayside Kubota.
Mr. Chair, last question. What's the where is aquaponics, and how's that related to what you all do when you till the land and all that? Is that a part of the Farm Bureau, those
Yeah.
aquaponic farms?
I'm actually in a program with the University of Maryland. It's a 3-year program to learn aquaponics, and we'll be bringing aquaponics to an innovation container. It's like an off-grid shipping container powered by solar that has aquaponics, hydroponics, and mushrooms. Aquaponics is when you basically, instead of buying a bunch of nutrients to add to the water, you grow fish, and then the fish poop, and the poop is turned into nutrients for the plants. So that's agriculture too. Everything from indoor cultivation. I grow my mushrooms. We started in a warehouse in District 1, and Tom's been there. So that's agriculture, growing in the soil, hydroponics, growing in a greenhouse. All of that is agriculture.
Right. Are your mushrooms mood altering?
No. Well, they make you happy, but mostly because.
Thank you, Mr.
But I
Chair.
do want to add too, you had a question about the soil conservation districts, and just a little bit of history there. Soil conservation districts came out of the Dust Bowl, if anybody knows about that, where basically land was so barren, there was no plants in the ground at certain points of the year, and all of that soil would blow into the air, create health problems, erosion, all types of issues. So soil conservation districts were created as part of the government in every state to protect the land, to encourage conservation, to make sure that there's plants in the ground holding that soil in place and that the water is able to be absorbed. So all of these issues that we have with, excess water in one area or flooding in another area or roads being eroded away, soil conservation plays a really important role in making sure that that doesn't continue to happen or that we address it. So, and that happens across the country.
Prince George's County Soil Conservation District gets a number of awards. They do a great job, and they help you out. I know I did work with them with a cost share for a water system.
They also do sediment control for development, so they're out there for every development project. It's not just farms. Ms. Ivy?
Thank you. So, Dan, you were talking about you have you get like 3,000 pounds of meat in your freezer after you've processed your?
The freezer, it's a freezer trailer, ma'am.
Okay.
And I bring it back down
Well,
the road. Yeah.
Okay. But where does it go? Who do you sell it to?
I sell most of mine to a fellow over in Tracy's Landing that works at the farmers markets in Annapolis. He also delivers in Anne Arundel County. And the city of Bowie's farmers market manager contacted him about if he could come over and start producing there. This fellow raises about 3,000 chickens a year, puts through about 80 hogs and about 80 sheep, depending on his flocks. He doesn't have enough acreage for cattle, and he also doesn't want to have another type of animal to have to worry about. So Smatic connected me with him, and I get it to him. Then I sell some to a place up here in Upper Marlboro, 804 Cattle. They also raise some. They've been on one. You were on the tour they were on a few years ago, and they were the Cooperator of the Year about 3 years ago with the soil
They're on a
conservation.
little small piece of property, right?
Real small and uphill.
Did Park and Planning help them with that?
I don't know about that, but I know
I saw them on the tour. I went to Park and Planning
Right.
property out off of,
No,
not
they-
Swanson Road, but off of,
you saw them on the tour at their place itself,
yeah,
Claggett Landing Road.
right.
That was about 4 years ago, I believe. And so in fact, speaking of those though, I have 4 of their steers are down at my place. They do some grazing agreements with me, but they buy some. They have their own operation, and then Bowman's Butcher Shop in Aberdeen. Let's put it this way: they want some when I go up, take some up in August. When I take some up in January. So like I say, I have everything I have, and I raise enough cattle that I can. Well, this year I had to buy some hay, but usually I have enough, can raise enough hay and pasture that I can support it. That's why I keep it at. I might get up to like 3 dozen cows, but not for long. I mean, they come in, they stay about 18 months, and then they take the big trip. But right, and like I said, we have a tree farm too, and it's and I'm a local. I'm on the same property I grew up on, except for being in college and in the Marines. I was. Thank you, sir. But thank you all. You have any other questions for us?
I'll be quick, but how's agritourism going? There was like no agritourism back in the day, and I know we've been trying to get that going.
Well, as I said, there's Maryland Department of Agriculture is going to be having a roundtable on the 27th of May, 10 to 12 at the Soil Conservation Office.
I see the gentleman in the back there saying there's no agritourism. Not good. Want to come up?
Hello, Councilman. How y'all doing? Been in PG County all my life. Born and raised, live in Largo, Mitchellville area. I never grew up thinking about ever being in farming. Never even touched my mind being in fitness and athletics and working for Gold's Gyms. I was always about exercise and fitness, not knowing the importance of how certain food social systems are. So when me and Liz got into it in the COVID year, we got very concerned about, we can go in every other county because we had a lot of time on our hands. And no county was, we went to Montgomery and Howard, they had food. They had turkey. They had everything. When you hit the shoppers in Laurel and Beltsville, things was out. And we started hearing food deserts. And it concerned us. And we didn't know how we was going to even start. So she said, let's start with mushrooms. So we studied that for a couple of years. And then we got the history on, because I love mushrooms, but we found that they got to be cooked. So I've been eating them improperly all my life. Because I seen them on salad bars and certain things. So, no ma'am.
They have a substance called chitin
That's the same look I had.
So all that stuff that's on the salad bar, you get no nutrients.
No, nothing from it. Yeah.
And what about the agritourism you were asking about?
Yeah.
When we go to markets, people ask us all the time. At farmers markets, people ask us, "Can we come and visit you?" Well, we didn't, especially at urban farmers. There's not really a lot of space for people to come and visit, but people need to see this. So that's why we're building the Mushroom Learning Center. But guess what? It takes a while to do stuff like that. Anything with agritourism, you have to build that. It takes money, it takes time, it takes skills. But it's also one of the biggest economic drivers in our state. It's one of the biggest industries, so it's worthwhile to do it.
Right. So part of that is wineries, but beyond that, you have the corn mazes. There was one on 301.
Flower picking, strawberry, pick your own.
So we don't have as much of that.
I think a lot of it is dying, in my experience.
We haven't had all, like Montpelier, which one you're referring to on 301.
Yeah.
That's what make it. They had the huge maze. I think we had a tour of that last year. I forgot how many people they employ for the season, just for those weekends, but it's a large number. Miller Farms in Clinton, and you get out, but and you have to do it, and it's one of those things. It's like I don't sell cows; I sell to other people. I work at a bank. I've dealt with the public. No offense to anybody, but sometimes you can't have any. Retail's a different breed, and I think that's one thing with agritourism. I know with a lot of farmers, they don't want a lot of people just tramping around their place.
Because where I live, I often go up to Howard County, and there's corn mazes, or even Baltimore County, got to Frederick even. But there's only a handful of them, maybe about a dozen around the state, at least within reasonable driving distance. Are we getting more grape growers? Not just wineries, but are we getting more grape growers? Is that becoming a crop?
I don't know anybody that's starting to grow grapes because you need a lot of land. You have to build the soil, the terroir. We have a lot of clay and things like that. So a lot of the vineyards probably, you need invest a lot of money into those. So you're not necessarily looking at beginning farmers. A lot of times it's a lot of legacy farmers. Also, I want to note that other counties do have an economic development person that focuses on agriculture that can.
We created a position for an ag marketer many years ago. Does that still exist?
No.
I believe it's unfilled.
Okay.
And there used to be an ag. There used to be an ag marketing specialist within the University of Maryland Extension.
Right.
That person left, and that position has not been
created this.
filled.
Yeah.
But also in the economic development corporations of other counties, they have somebody within their EDCs, and we don't.
We need to look at this.
Can I have Can I have one last point about the
Yes.
extension service? One thing they do that helps folks with any kind of acreage or farmland is they assist with completing your nutrient management plan, which you have to turn in. Now, this last year they gave us 2 years instead of annually because they had lost some people, retirements, that sort of thing. That's part of that whole Chesapeake Bay and Potomac River watershed, protecting it. That's a great thing the extension provides us for the nutrient management plan for producers. I think that's all. I'll be quiet.
Hey, could I just ask Corey a real quick question? Corey, right? Does John Evans and Jamari Cooper still work out with you?
One of them I see in the mornings. I still see him in the morning. We gotta get there early in the morning because I got mushrooms. Right now, I got mushrooms to harvest.
None of the special
I'll
mushrooms.
bring that up. I'll bring it up to him.
You don't have any special mushrooms, do you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I see we've been enjoying. Well,
Yeah.
If I can provide a little bit of connection to some of the conversation. So in FY26, we're looking to relaunch the partnership with the University of Maryland for the extension position. So we're going to be working with Steve Darcy to see how we can get that position funded for his team again. Hopefully, as part of our master plan updates in FY26, we're going to do further exploration and feasibility of the distribution and processing facilities. And so we'll keep council updated on that and how we can coordinate with EDC. So just thought you guys will find that helpful as food for thought. And definitely I toured the mushroom location, and it's really awesome. They actually were able to use an outdated, I guess it was like a warehouse or industrial use. And so it shows another way of doing adaptive reuse for a space to grow some mushrooms. So me and my team visited last year.
And that's the other important thing we wanted while we were part of this urban initiative that's important. We had no land, we had nothing but our mom and dad's help us get that warehouse during COVID, which was a very hard challenge. And we just been blessed by working with the Maryland Park and Planning and the 12 acres in Clinton and with Mr. Dan and Mr. Miller and them. They've been very supportive in our growth so far in our workforce first 4 or 5 years. So it is really hard. But the importance of it for me is children and child education in agritourism. I didn't know about a lot of things that I know now, but I learned them at 50 years old. So you're never old to learn, but I would love to get them young and they can see the other opportunities besides just being in the corporate world. It's another way that you can come out here and earn money and also be a blessing to your community.
I'll tell you, when I've gone to soil conservation or Farm Bureau events and seen the Future Farmers of America, yeah, they're doing a nice job.
Yeah.
They're really bringing up a lot of young folks.
Can I?
I just wanted to give a shout out to Schlegel Farms, which I have been down and done some strawberry picking there, and that's been fun. And also Eco City Farms, you mentioned. They're in District 5, which I used to represent solely, but now, of course, I represent that as well as the rest of the county, and I'm still connected with them.
Thank you for that. And they are really important because, like I said, as a first generation farmer, you need a place to learn these things. It's not intuitive. There's a lot to learn. Growing food, climate changes, pests, things like that. There's a lot to know. You have food safety things that you need to know. And they really make it a program where you can learn a lot of different things also about how to manage your business.
We'll let Ms. Cross bring us home.
Okay. Just a couple of things I wanted to point. One of the things I didn't mention is my children are fifth generation on our family's farm, and it's decreased in size. In fact, my son at 24 purchased his first house and land, and sad to say it was in Virginia, because he did want land to continue the legacy of his family. My grandchildren are now the sixth, so hopefully we'll get them working on the farm at some point. But I know this is something we've talked to Councilman Janoga about, but our concern for productive ag land going to data centers or solar, that I hope you keep that in mind, because we just can't afford to lose productive farmland. I certainly don't want my food coming from other countries, because I know what we grow here, it's safe, and we just can't. I mean, it's so vitally important, not just that, but it's, we've got to find more ways to allow the young people access to affordable farmland. So I don't mean to be the
Thanks for pointing that out. That's a good reminder. I think we're done. We lost our quorum.